Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum. My name is Shoaib Khan and welcome to maxafter.com's tutorial. Basically it's a very simple tutorial where I have created a 3D text. Each characters, they break away and then they come back together, for a few frames, and then they break away again, This is what we'll be doing. So are you guys ready? So let's start the tutorial. Before starting the tutorial, every now and then I do get asked this question, that what do I say in the beginning of my tutorial? Well, basically it's Arabic, and I say Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, which means that I seek refuge in God from Satan or devil. And then I say Bismillahir rahmanir rahim, which means in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. And after that I say Assalamu alaikum, which is basically kind of greeting, and which means peace be on you. There's a similar kind of greeting that Jesus Christ used to greet in his language, Hebrew, which was Shalom alaikum. So basically, which also means peace be on you. This is what I say in the beginning of my tutorial. Okay, so let's get on to the tutorial. Are you guys ready? So once again, I'll guide you through it in no time. Let's start by first making a new comp. You can select a comp from here, which is 720, 29.97 frames, 1280 by 720, and the duration, let's put 3 seconds for now, as we are doing the text bit first. Basically that is the most important thing in the tutorial. Let's go and create a new text. So we can go to layer, new text, and we'll write, let's say, welcome, and just hide the title. Let's choose a font from here, and from the character we go to Arial, just choose a simple font, Arial. And the next step is, when you open this arrow here, it says animate, so you click on this arrow, it says enable per character 3D, so you just click on it, you'll see the 3D here. And then the next thing is we'll add few things, which is rotation, and then we'll go to animate again, and then we'll add position. Yeah, so this is our one animator basically. We can also name it, let's say we can name it text shutter. Now we can add more properties to it, So basically if you want to add another effect, then you can go and make another one, but since we need only position and rotation, that's enough for us. And then within this text shutter you can add more effects through this. So you click here and we'll add another selector, which is wiggly, so it shows up here. At frame 20 we want the text to be in this position, basically when it's closer to camera. So we'll put our keyframes here for position. We click on the stopwatch here for X rotation, Y and Z, so we've got our frames here. And for if you move it up to, let's say, for probably 5 frames or so, and we want the same thing, we want it to pause for a little while, before the characters break away. So what we do is we Control C and Control V. You can have longer pause if you want. Let's start with this. If it's not making sense, it will in a second. Now we come back to frame 0, and now we start breaking our text, how we want it to break. So let's start with the position. Let's put 100 here. So I have used these values before, so I'm going to put those values, and here I'll put 697. So as you can see, the text breaking away here, and then we'll put the rotation here, which is minus 54, and let's put the Y value, which is minus 69, and the Z rotation is minus 83. So we've got these values here now. Then what we do is we come to frame, let's say 2 seconds. We come to about 2 seconds here, and then what we do is just select all these keyframes here, Control C on your keyboard, and then go to 2 seconds here. I should say here 2 seconds, then Control V. But let's put some easy ease keyframes here, so right click on it. If you can't see, it's keyframe assistance and easy ease, or you can press also F9 on your keyboard. So you've got these, so while it reaches this point it's slowed down. So you can add another motion to it, which is wiggly selector here, and we open it, and we've got this setting here, wiggles per second. Let's do it 1 second. Now if you wanna, let's say if I put a keyframe here, and then I put a keyframe here, at this point I want it to be 0, but it won't, you know, because till here, if you see, it is 1, but suddenly, you know, when it reaches here, it changes to 0. So we need it to change gradually. So we'll delete these keyframes because it's not working for us. So what we do here is we'll put a simple slider control. So we just come here and write slider, and this is our slider control, and we put it on our layer here. It will show up here. So now what we do is we just we'll press Alt on your keyboard and click on the stopwatch. So I come up with this expression here. What you do is just pick a bit and put it on the slider, which is slider control, and that's it. So now you can control the wiggle, you know, per second with this. At frame 0, let's say we put 0.5, yeah, and then we put a keyframe here, and we move on to the next keyframe and change it to 0, and then we change to 0 again, and then when it comes here we put it to, let's say, 0.1. It just adds up a little bit of wiggle to it, you know, that makes it look cool. Now if you press U on your keyboard, you'll see that we've got keyframes here for the wiggles per second. So basically our slider control is now controlling the wiggles per second. Now if you see that these values are changing, you know, one by one, rather than, you know, we're jumping to the next keyframe. At frame 0, these are the keyframes. Now we come to frame 2 seconds here, and we change these values to all these to, you know, positive. Let's say 54. This is 69. We just change it to 69. We want it to be different. Okay, so let's change a few settings here to this one to 114. This to 114 as well, and probably, you know, the exposition. So we need a little bit of movement, you know, not too much, so that when it breaks away. Okay, you can change these two to easy ease frame as well, or F9 on your keyboard. So you can change these values more if you like. Just want to change this. Probably. If you want it more wild, then you can, of course, change these values. So let's move towards the next step here. So we've got our comp. This is called text 1 original. We put on our comp, tuts comp, and let's make another comp of it. Drag it and make another comp, and let's call it text 1 3D. Now let's make this text 3D. For that, what we do is just let's click 3D and also collapse transformation, so that it brings all the properties from the previous comp, and we'll add a brightness and contrast. We'll write a small expression here so that we can make this text look 3D. Okay, so now what we do is we'll press P and Alt on your keyboard and press here in the position, and we'll write value plus 0, 0, index, and then what we do is we press E on your keyboard, and then we go in brightness, and we do the same thing, Alt and on your keyboard, and we'll write a small expression here that says brackets index, that's -2, and times -6. Yeah, let's check another angle here. Now what we do is select this layer here and Control D. So it depends how thick you want the text to be. So now we've got a 3D text here, and you can move it around. Right, so we select the top layer here and we'll add a ramp to it. Okay, so what we'll do is we go back to our active camera, we select our ramp here, press Effect and Ramp. Need to change these positions here, and let's change it to radial. Bring this one in here and the other one here. change this color to a bit gray, and this one to lighter gray. Right, so we've got our text here now in 3D. So what we do is we go back to project, and we got our text 3D, and what we do is we just drag it into another comp, and we just name it Tuts Final. And so now we've got our text here. Okay, what we do, we'll add a camera layer, new camera. Let's make it 15 millimeters and say OK. And let's make this 3D, and also turn on the collapse transformation. We'll add a null to it, layer, new, null. And this is basically our camera controller. You can write camera controller, and you just pick the bit and connect it to the camera controller and turn it to 3D. Let's change the composition set, go to composition settings, and we'll change it to, let's say, for probably 0.6 seconds. Just open it. Come down to around like 20 seconds where the text is being just formed, you know. If you go back to the text, you'll see that you go to text original 1 and you press U, you see that at frame 20 it's formed. So what we do is we go back to our file, and at frame 20 we put a keyframe for our controller position, and then we bring the text closer around here somewhere, right, and we go back to 0, and we'll push our text back, you know, in the Z space, so around minus 350 or something, and then we'll just move it out of the camera. No, that's fine. And you'll go back, if you go back to the original text, you'll see that we've got a pause for 28 frames. So if you go back to Tuts File, and we are here for 28 frames, so after that it starts to break. So we put a keyframe here, and what we do is we'll probably move it a bit more towards us. That's it, not too much. And then we go to the last where it starts to break, you know. If you go back to the text original, which is around 2 seconds, so come back to Tuts Final, go to 2 seconds, and then you can just move the camera, you know, into the text, and we change these to right click, keyframe assistance. If you can't see, it's easy ease or F9 on your keyboard. So you got a problem here. What we do is we select all these keyframes, right click, and go to keyframe interpolation. It usually happens when it becomes auto bezier, so we change to linear, and probably we change this to normal. Change this one to normal keyframe, control and click on it, it becomes normal. And if you render and see how it looks, so now you can see it looks cool. Right, so we got our first text. So what we do is we just trim it, and we control D this one. Okay, so now what we do is we just move our text down because it's a bit up there. And one more thing I want to do is we'll put a keyframe for Z rotation, put a keyframe here so it comes to 0, and then it comes here to minus 25. Right, and then again right click and easy ease. So now we've got that out of the way, what we do is we go to the next one. Next text is here somewhere. So what we do is move forward in the timeline, and we take our camera, move it in. You can press shift and move it fast, and we move it in. Okay, not too fast. Okay, so this is fine. We'll see from where it comes to, you know, the text is formed. So right here somewhere. So let's move it forward. The text comes to rest. We move our keyframe here at this point in the timeline, and also just select our text and move it down, you know, to bring it to the center. Let's see from where it starts to break. so about here somewhere. So we just zoom in a little bit, not too much, as if, you know, the camera is not stopped, it's just moving. So we just move ahead, let's say here somewhere, and then we zoom. Let's zoom into the O here. So we move our camera, and we move our controller, you know, into the O position, and zoom into it. Right, and we change this one to this keyframe to right click keyframe assistance, and if you can't see it, it's easy ease, or you press F9 on your keyboard and just trim it. And let's just watch a preview, so you can see that our text, you know, looks cool now. It's moving into position. Since it's not going inside the O, what we do is just move it, you know, and see if it's going inside the... No, actually, move it the other way. Let's right click and see if there are any problems with the keyframes. No, that's fine. So far so good. So what we can do is let's apply a glow to it as well, and let's tweak around the glow. That's fine. Let's get to the next one and apply glow to it as well. And this time we want it to make it look, you know, a bit bluish in color. So we come down to the colors and we just change the colors here to, let's say, this one to a bright color, this one to dark, and change the original colors to A and B. We've got nice looking glow here. So we just increase the glow radius, and so we just want to see it in the edges, you know, so it looks cool. Okay, next step, which is save your work. At this point here, you want the sparks to come out as well, you know. So you go to layer, new, solid, and we type this particles, and we quickly type here CC particle, and let's turn off the floor, and also go to particles and change it to concave, and also go up and options and rendering, force motion blur. You want to have a blur here. And let's change the layer, new solid settings. Go to solid settings and we just change the color to orange here. Right, and we just click here the burst rate, press U, and it just when it comes here, we just turn to 0. So by the time it reaches here, and longevity to probably, let's do it 0.5. You can also apply glow to it and change it to and we come down to the size of the particles. So when they're emitted, they are big, and the depth sizes become small. Let's change the opacity to 100% and go back to glow radius. Yep. Okay, let's see how it looks. Right. Okay, now what we do is we again we trim it up to here, and we Control D this one, and we put it to the next to the other one. For this one, we change the producer. There it is, and we just move it, you know, near the other text. And one more thing, I just want to increase the speed, you know, want to be fast. I want the sparks, you know, to come before the text, not behind the text. I also change the speed for this one, physics, probably 2. Right, one more thing we can add is we go to layer, new, solid, and we will add Let's call it lens, and we add a lens flare. Sorry, lens flare, not lens blur. We'll bring it here, you know. Increase the size. Go one frame. Reduce it, you know. Bring it down. Go another frame. Bring it up. Go one more frames. Bring it down. Go more, you know. And also change this to screen so that you see. Bring it down to 0. So press U and you'll see the keyframes here. You want it to be, you know, ends here. Put a keyframe there for the position. Bring it out here, you know. Make it big. So let's see how it looks now. Alright, so we got our lens flare. We just again trim it. And again Control D. And bring it near the other one. Press U. And we'll move it here somewhere. Done the same thing. If you render, you'll see. Next thing is we'll add an environment, which is clouds, layer new solid, and let's call it clouds environment, and apply fractal noise to it. Right, and what we do here is before that, let's add a background to it, layer new solid, just a black background. Let's close this environment for a second, layer new solid, and add a press F on your keyboard and change the opacity. Press T on your keyboard and change it, put it down, and we'll bring it down here. Come to the clouds again, and we just add a gradient to the clouds, 4 color gradient, and let's see what we can do here with the gradient. Okay, let's change the opacity to 22, change this to screen, and here you need to turn up the scale 100. Animate the evolution, Alt, click on the stopwatch, and write time times probably 150. Also we change the opacity to probably 30. Let's change to probably 250. Let's move offset as well. Put a keyframe here for the offset turbulence, and in 6 seconds we move it, you know. So we've got a bit of an animation here as well. Let's change the colors. Also, one more thing what we can do is Control D this one and make this 3D cloud. We need to take it near the first text. So we select our first text, press P and copy the position, Control C, and we write cloud text 1 and press P, and we'll Control V so that we've got our clouds here. And then what we do is we double click on the mask, and we double click on the mask again, and then we just scale it down with Shift, Control and Alt all together. and then press F. Now you see that this cloud is moving with the text. So let's go to transform again and change the size of the cloud and feather it more. Okay, let's copy this one and Control D, and this for the text too. So you go to next text, this one, and press P on your keyboard. We copy the values, Control C on your keyboard, select cloud text 2 and Control V. So now we've got it on our second text. So also we just change the size a little bit so that it looks different from the other one. Transform and change the scale, make it smaller. And also the evolution to 350. So one more thing I did was I added a vignette, layer, new, solid, and again F on your keyboard, and then change the subtract, and again feather it out, and T on your keyboard, bring it down a little bit, to this. And one more thing we can do is layer, new, adjustment, and we can add a lens flare to it. So it's here somewhere, hovering there, so just go to the lens and put a keyframe here and just go to the end of the timeline, and we just make it move so that something is happening there. And then we just apply photo filter to it, and you can pick a color that you want, and also apply curves to it so that we can add more color to it. Actually go to green and go to red again. So we got a bit of purple in here. And also what we do here is one more thing. Select our clouds environment, and we just make a rough, press M on your keyboard and subtract, and F again. Press T, go up, adjustment layer, curves, bring the red down. Go to RGB and so you can also change the photo filter color if you don't like any particular color. You can go for violet color as well. We go to the next text here. So this text should actually say something else. This one says welcome, this one should say something else. So we go back to the project here and we select our original and we Control D this one, and so this becomes original too. So when we write here, let's say next after, right, and we select the 3D one, which was this. So what we do is Control D, and now we got another one, text 1 3D2. So we go and we select all these, and then we drag our original 2, text 1 original, which we just created. Press Alt on your keyboard and drag on top of it, so it'll change for you here. Now we go back to our original comp, that's final, and we select our second text, and we just select this one, and again Alt on your keyboard and drag on top of it. Your text has been changed. So that's how you change your text. So as you can see, that's it's a pretty powerful effect, and it could be used in many different ways. I've already created a product out of this tutorial. You can see that that product, in the product section. So I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. Once again, my name is Shuaib Khan from maxafter.com. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be on you.